Welcome to the Book of Huey, featuring our host, Huey Booker, aka Huelito, aka El Grande Papi Chulito, aka Lil Big Daddy, the original faux Dominican, the king of unfuckwitability in all of his regal, debonair godliness. With his stunner shades, receding hairline, and struggle beard alike, took a risk and launched the Book of Huey podcast. Huey has the dopest, funniest, most insightful conversations with his friends. And within all the shenanigans and jokes, there are frequent profound moments and lots of quotable gems. And yet the idea that other folks could benefit from, or at the very least, be highly amused by listening in on these convos. He created a safe, judgment-free space to discuss love, sex, life, dating, relationships, fuckery, and advice with raw honesty and humor. This is your announcer, Rebecca Lee. So this is what had happened previously on the Book of Huey. We got new mics, y'all. And like Huey's light-skinned feelings and the small of my back, they're very sensitive. We couldn't be more excited as we're committed to always doing something new and better with each passing week. The Book of Huey, Chapter 2, Verse 1. What about your friends? Shanta V.A. Chick King, Huey's dear friend and the host of What Would Shanta Do podcast, came through and she shut it down, y'all. She did the damn thing. She let it be known that she doesn't have a problem diving into those inboxes, approaching men, and expressing her interest. But fellas, stop being so damn lazy and get it together. My girl will give you the bait, but you have to be the man and reel it in. Furthermore, if things don't work out, don't be alarmed if she refers you to one of her girlfriends or does a little scroll through your friends list to see who might be a better fit for her. Remember, she's grown as fuck with 2 houses. Judge a mammy. This is your announcer, Rebecca Lee. And now on to our host, Huey Booker, featuring this week's guest, Donteacia Seymore, inventor, entrepreneur, and business coach. You can find out more information about her on DonteaciaSeymore.com.
Okay, we're back, and the bear is working.
Are you certain?
I'm looking at it. I can see video and everything.
True.
I don't know what happened, but your video quality just got like perfect. I see your edges laid and everything.
My edges are laid. I gotta do my hair. I need some makeup. I gotta get my toes did.
I mean,
all that.
Ain't nobody looking at your feet, but you cute though.
I'm alright.
Whatever you say, baby. Alright. So you ready to do this?
Mm-hmm. Always.
What up? This is your boy Huey Booker. I'm here with another episode of the Book of Huey podcast. I have a guest host today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm supposed to say my name?
That would be a good idea.
I thought you're supposed to bring me in. See, you're horrible at this.
Listen, I wanted you to have your moment.
Oh my God. Donteacia Seymore. No, we in this now. We're in this. We're in this. Hello everyone, I'm Donteacia Seymore, founder of the Product Yard, chief inventor, strategist, and apparently co-host because Huey didn't bring me in.
I mean, I did say my friend, guest host. I wanted you to have your moment to shine. I mean, we can redo this thing. It's cool. I can always record it.
We're good.
All right. So, how you been, Will?
I've been good, Huey. How about you?
I'm doing all right. What everyone listening doesn't know is we're actually video chatting, and she is so cute with her pearly white smiling right now. She's so excited.
You're so silly.
Mm-hmm.
You're silly.
I do what I can for the people, you know? So, what a lot of people don't know is this is my homegirl. We've been friends, 2-3 years now, and from the moment I met her, you've just been globetrotting like crazy. I think you did a tour of Southeast Asia for like a year with your daughter, and now you're in Mexico. How long have you been in Mexico?
I've been here for 8 months.
And when are you heading back to the States?
April. For good, April. For a little bit next week, I'll be in Miami.
Okay, man. And you're from South Florida, right? No, Central Florida.
I'm from North Florida.
My bad.
I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. Go Jags.
Oh, yeah, Duval. That's right. Why you ain't shout out your company?
Duval.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I try not to get too excitable about that, about the most well-known county in the world.
Here we go. I love my Duval folks, though. Y'all really, really, really represent.
You better.
Why don't we do this? Tell us a little bit about yourself and Product Yard and iEvent-ish and everything that you do.
Well, like I said, my name is Donteacia. I am a Libra. I like long walks on the beach. And I mean, you said it's all the people about myself now.
Hey,
that's about me. I'm just saying. Actually, yeah, I do like long walks on the beach, actually, which is why I'm in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. It's because I needed to be near a beach. I'm from a beach town. I cannot be landlocked. I need water. I need beach. I need sun. I need all of those things around me. But what do you want to know? So I feel like I'm in like a job interview. Tell me about yourself. Like that's what someone says when they like want to stump you up at a job interview.
Well, no, listen.
I run a business. I run a couple businesses. I travel. I have a daughter. She's 14 and awesome. And she has a clothing line that we're launching this summer. Really excited about that.
Dope.
But I'm an inventor. So I guess that's kind of neat to talk about. I'm an inventor.
What I wanted to talk about.
I invent shit. I invent shit for a living. And I help others build their products now, more so than myself, inventing things. And that's what I do. I do it typically poolside with some Don Julio in my hand.
I like that about you. I do.
You like that about me?
I do. Hustle and get your drink on. On the beach, no less.
Rooftop pool mostly. Rooftop pools mostly. Rooftop pools.
Okay, rooftop. You fancy. How are the shrimp tacos? That's like the most important question for me, right? So
listen, bomb. Like, first off, any taco in Mexico is bomb. Like, you don't make tacos better anywhere in the world than they make them here in Mexico.
I know, that's what I'm asking.
And I'm right here on the Caribbean Sea. I think they call it Caribbean, though, like the people who are from the Caribbean islands. So I'm right here on the sea. So we got fresh seafood. It's bomb. The shrimp tacos are bomb. Like, there's only maybe one place I went to and they weren't that great, and that's because they weren't near the water.
I respect it. I didn't tell you I was going to come down there and visit, but more than likely I'm going to come to Duval.
Shocker. I'm not moving to Duval. I'm moving to Tampa. Tampa Bay.
I don't know how y'all counties work down there, but I'm going to try to figure it out.
Hillsborough County, Tampa.
All right, check it. We are going to talk a little bit more about your professional life because I think it's very important. We talk about love and dating and all the other topics, but I think balancing all that as busy young professionals in terms of my target audience, that's really important, Like, how do you balance your day? How do you prioritize when things are getting a little touchy in your relationship and you got to invest a little bit more, but you got deadlines and deliverables? I think that's a lot to manage. And I think it's very important strategically and tactically. So I do plan on interviewing you, but with the goal in mind of transitioning to how you balance all of what you do in such a wonderful way for all your projects with your love life. But before we get into that, why don't you tell us all what happened in 2013 that kicked off this change in career for you?
Oh, so we're talking about the idea. Yeah, so I was in politics, man. I spent the majority of my 20s learning about politics, working for political figures, working for political organizations, the mayor, the governor, super PACs, just out here doing my social, duty. And I had an idea. I was really, really into fitness. I kind of am, not as much as I was then, though. I was really into fitness, working out all the time. And I was running across a bridge in Jacksonville. It was like one of the highest bridges in Jacksonville, actually. And my phone was ringing. I had one of those armbands on. So I was trying to get to it. Couldn't get to it. Pulled the thing off, almost flung it in the river. It was like terrifying. It was a terrifying moment for me. Anyone who has ever submerged the phone in water know what I mean? Especially if you lost it in a river or ocean. Can't get it back. So I held it in my hand and ran back home with it and was like, I need something to hold my phone in my hand so I can have access to it while I'm running. And the idea was born. We moved it from the inside of the hand to the outside of the hand so that I can use it when I'm lifting weights. And mobile grip gear was born. I had an idea for a product. People liked it. They started to buy it. I had a Kickstarter campaign. They gave me money. Investors gave me money. Strangers gave me money. Everybody started giving me money and buying the product. And then a couple of years later, I sold the company. And here we are.
Dope. Now, what was the one defining moment about sort of that experience that gave you the passion or the inspiration to say, you know what, I want to really explore this and get out of politics? So
let me tell you, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I don't want to sugarcoat it and say that the skies parted and there was some divine calling on my life and that I was, no. So I wanted to run. I was actually running for city council at the time. I was in the middle of a race against an incumbent. I said, if this Kickstarter campaign funds, I'm going to get out of the race because I have the potential here to make $1 million. I can always run for office. I don't always have like an idea that can make me a ton of money. And I didn't come from money. I didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I didn't have a lot of money raising my daughter at the time. I was a single parent. I didn't have a ton of money at the time either. And so for me, I saw it as an opportunity to make a lot of money and run for office when I had rich friends, because it's a lot easier to run for office when you got rich friends. Listen, a lot easier, trust me. So I got out of the race. It funded. I got out the race on a Friday, and the incumbent dropped out on Monday.
Oh, shit.
He dropped out on Monday. And I said, self, if he had dropped out before I did, I would have never dropped out. And I'd be in Jacksonville in city council right now, because I was really popular and back home. And so I was like, I'd have been, but you know, like at the time I was really popular because I was in the middle of everything. And so I was like, I'd have been sitting at home right now in Jacksonville, living a good life, you know, serving my community. But when I think about all the things I've done in the last 3 years and what I would have been doing instead, I am glad that I dropped out on Friday and not waited, because I'm telling you, he dropped out on Monday, and I really saw that as a sign that I was doing the right thing, because I would not have made that decision otherwise. But it was for money. This was money. It was all money motivated.
That goes to my next question, actually. In your bio that I read, you mentioned at one point your single goal was to keep the lights on, but that you survived and sometimes thrived. So tell us a little bit more about the underside of entrepreneurship and what it's like fighting through the trenches to make $1.
Well, you know, I think a lot of times people underestimate how much it costs to not just take care of yourself and your family, but also to run a business. There are a lot of hidden expenses that you don't know about if you've never been exposed to business ownership, if you've never been exposed to, especially for me, I was moving not just into a business, I was moving into a manufacturing business. Like I had a product in a field that I knew nothing about. My partners were manufacturers. You know, I had to have things imported. There were all kinds of things I didn't know about, customs. So there were so many things that I didn't know that cost me a ton of money. I mean, I made easily $20,000 worth of mistakes in that first year. Yeah, it was negative 28 actually. We did the math. we did the math. I blew about $28,000 in that first year on mistakes, right? Things I didn't know, things I didn't understand. And that affected how I was able to provide for my kid on top of building the company, because I still had customers, I still had orders, I still had stuff I had to do. And I didn't have the type of money that a lot of, people have when they go into business. And so it was a struggle. I mean, with the help of some very kind friends and individuals and an ex-boyfriend, if I'm keeping it 100, I had an ex-boyfriend who literally made sure I was cool all the time. And a really close friend of mine who owns a piece of the previous company, and I gave him a piece of this company because he got a piece, because without him, we wouldn't have had a place to stay. My daughter and I, he gave us his apartment and he was like, just stay here. I got you. And he moved in with his girlfriend and he took care of it. He took care of the apartment. My ex took care of the light. We made it work. We made it work that first year, and then it all turned around. It all turned around in year 2, and it was all uphill. It was all up from there.
Okay. I love that story. So with my next question, now you're...
Thank you, fellas.
Definitely. Appreciate y'all looking out for the homie. So now you're a more seasoned entrepreneur, more mature in the work that you do, and you're also an experienced business coach. So now I would say your source of inspiration is just very different, or I would hope it's different. So where do you draw that inspiration from now just to keep going and to maybe not go back to politics, or at least not now?
Other people's tears. I have a lot of calls where a lot of people cry on the phone. And 90% of the people who get on the phone with me cry. And so my coach said something, because I have a coach too. My coach said something in our session last Saturday, and he said, it's the why that makes them cry. And while that was the first time I've heard him say that, it's something I've been using for the last 2 years. Like that whole, getting to the bottom of why they're doing stuff. Like, what is the reason you're doing it? What is it? Like, really, why are you doing it? When we get to that why that makes them cry, which 90% of the time we do, and they start to really open up and share the hopes and the dreams they have for themselves and their families, their community legacy and all of that. That's what keeps me going, because I know that I am literally changing people's lives, like not for play, but for real, changing people's lives. And so I think that keeps me going. It keeps me going that in addition to me providing for myself and my daughter and me creating a legacy of my own, I'm helping to build multiple legacies at the same time.
Now, quick interruption. Can you say daughter one more time for me?
Daughter.
That's not how you said it a second ago. It was so cute.
I don't know how. You can't put me on the spot. Shit.
I was trying to, but it almost worked though. You halfway did it. You got self-conscious. My daughter.
No, I didn't know it. Oh, my daughter. Oh, daughter.
My daughter.
Oh, okay.
It's like, damn, so cute.
So I have like the weirdest thing when it comes to like my speaking. It's so weird. I feel like my accent is a little bit of Jacksonville. I'm actually born and lived the first 8 years of my life in Louisiana. So every now and again, I'll have a little Louisiana come out of me. And then every now and again, because I watch so many like BBC British shows that my brain has like taken some of the words, the way they say it, and I incorporate it in my speech. It's weird. It's a very weird thing. So I think daughter is more up north. I don't know.
I don't know. I get it for like half a second.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay, got it.
So now let's get to the juicy stuff. Like a few months ago when we were talking about, the relaunch of the show and having you on to talk about all the wonderful stuff that you just mentioned, you said something that I think was very impactful. So for you, when I asked you what was your biggest challenge this far, and at this point, we'd only been talking about your business and your track record and your professional life. Do you remember what you said? Sustaining romantic relationships.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So, I've had some time to think about that, relationships in recent months, because I'm moving back to the States. And I know one of the biggest hurdles I've had with sustaining a relationship is that I've been all over the world and not really in one place. It makes it really difficult to be in a relationship when you're 14 hours ahead, time zone wise, or it's a 16-hour flight for someone to get to you. I mean, even down here in Mexico, it's gotten a lot easier because Mexico is so close to the U.S. But, that was the original barrier. And then I started to realize that, my goals and my ambition also can be a little bit intimidating. And I know that people hate when girls say, oh, he's just intimidated, or he's intimidated by you. I get it. Guys typically are not intimidated by women, right? Most women. But here's what I do know is when you put a B in front of alien, men start to really measure themselves up against that. And I've had a guy say to me, I've never dated a girl who had a goal to build $1 billion company. Like that is like something else. And then I noticed that the relationships would become a competition as opposed of, complementary to one another. So it's just been difficult. I mean, a lot of the times it was difficult just because I was focused on business and I just wasn't, sympathetic or empathetic to their needs. And I was just like, well, I got a kid to take care of. I don't really got time to take care of your feelings too. So that's selfish on my part. Like, I get that. That's selfish on my part. I understand where some of my selfishness comes into play. But I don't know. I think I just got to find someone or meet someone whose grind matches mine. I actually met a couple of guys, which I think is interesting. And it speaks about this season I'm in, who actually inspire me to work harder. Like their grind is so stupid to where it's like, shit, I got to keep up with you. When? How? What world am I living in now? But that also speaks to levels. When you get to a club where your friends are millionaires, their grind is just on a different level. And I know people say you shouldn't date people based on what they have and what they don't have. But the reality is people grind different at different levels in life, financial levels and, stuff like that. And so now that I'm like around guys who are like millionaires, now that I'm a part of that club and these are the people I'm meeting, their grind is something that I can relate to. And so it's a different environment.
Well, I try to contextualize, especially things on this show, with my 5 topics: love, sex, dating, relationships, and fuckery, right? So when you think about this new grind and this new level, this new club, which 2 out of those 5 resonate the most with you right now and everything that you're going through?
Oh, give me the 5 again.
Love, sex, dating, relationships, and fuckery.
Ooh, I don't know. That resonates the most with me right now today. Dating, because I definitely want to take things. I need to see it all. I need to see all the different sides of things before I jump into anything, because there's so much on the line, and because men are suing women for alimony. Now, I'm not trying to be Mary J. So, dating for sure resonates the most. I want to say love, but not like the type of love that's like, puppy dogs and, long walks on the beach. No, I want the type of love that materializes in a kingdom of shit happening. Like I want the type of love that's also a business partnership. I know that sounds very empty for a lot of people, but for me, they say it and I believe it, that whoever you marry affects your life and your business. And I want to love someone who loves like growth as much as I do, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Now, with dating, right? So you're coming back to the States. I mean, I've seen pictures you sent me at a spot you're going to be living in, and I just can't wait to come visit and kick it. So how do you plan on managing your dating life? Like, what are your goals? What is your strategic plan? If you tell me you don't have one, think about it now, because I'm going to press you on it.
So here's the thing. I don't have a plan. Well, I do have a plan, but my plan is to let him plan. That's my plan. My plan is to follow. That's my whole plan. My plan is to be smart about it, because the reality is if I'm dating someone, it's someone who is busy also. It's someone who is working and who is grinding. And we're just going to figure it out, come up with some time to see each other, come up with some time to date. I don't want to date someone who has too much time on their hands, because I don't want to feel guilty about that. Like, I don't want to feel guilty about not being able to, kick it every night for 4 and 5 hours, because I don't have time to kick it every night for 4 and 5 hours. That's not the life I currently lead or will be leading in the next few years for what I'm doing. So, I don't have a plan, and I don't want to come up with a plan. I just want to be intentional about how I spend my time and who I spend my time with, and the type of things that we do when we're spending time together, that they are quality moments and quality experiences. I mean, that's pretty much it. But I don't have like this whole, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, because God in life tends to say, fuck you, when that's how you go into things, right? I've learned that enough to know not to do that. So,
well, I gotta say, building this brand has taught me quite a bit. So I'm always thinking about what I can ask to get the right sound bites. And my dear friend, I love you so much, because you just dropped so much beautiful wisdom right there that I cannot wait to push out in the next few days to promote this episode. Now, with the love part, I think a lot of what you said in response to the question about dating really, carries over into what you would hope you can have for your love experience with your future partner. So I respect that too. I'm not going to press you on it. But
no, I want you to, and I'm going to say something about this, because when you said about the perfect soundbite, my friend Shonda posted on Facebook last night that I'm good for slogans. I'm like, Don is so good for a good slogan, because one girl posted something and I was like, welcome to a life of next level shit. And then I was saying to her, we were talking about dating last night, and she said, so do you still, like this guy you were talking about? And I said, I read this article and it was talking about how if there's somebody you want, that you should say that you want this person or better, right? Like that should be like how you lead this thing. And so I realized that after a few days of me saying, I really want to get to know this person or better, that the way my mind, and I think maybe the way the human brain works, is after a while, you start to just focus on the or better. Like it's like, if there's something better, I don't even want this person. I don't want this thing. I want the thing that's better. And so I think that that's the way a lot of people should approach relationships, especially when it comes to like previous guys that they've dated or girls that they've dated. And they're like, I really want this person back. And so they kind of pigeonhole themselves in this place of lack, as opposed to saying, I want this person or better, because it opens it up to where if there is something better, you're not blocking that by focusing on this one thing. Unfortunately, what happens is when you train your brain to think or better, then that person that you thought you wanted, or maybe fortunately, that person begins to fall lower and lower and lower and lower on the totem pole of what you thought you wanted. And they can either end up being what you actually wanted. But I think that the or better mindset is a really good way to approach dating, especially if you're stuck in a certain type of person or a specific person. When you add or better to it and you train your brain to think, give me better, then like you open yourself up to a whole lot more, especially in love.
I like that. I'm going to write about this or better mindset. I really actually fuck with it heavy. So keeping in line with this or better mindset, you and I are actually going to write about this. I decided, but we'll talk about that offline.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Of the three remaining topics, sex, relationships, and fuckery. When you first heard it, which one did you initially reject because it stirred up some tender moment or memory for you? Let's talk about that.
I mean, who doesn't reject fuckery at first?
See, that's what I was waiting for.
I'm just saying, who's not going to, it didn't resonate with me. I rejected it, but it doesn't resonate with me because I don't expect it in my life often. Okay. Like, I don't expect, I know people who expect to be met with fuckery. And I'm just like, well, that's what's going to happen. I don't expect that. I don't expect to be met with that stuff. Like, I don't fear it because I don't expect it in my circle. But I reject it wholeheartedly. And I've had situations that were completely just ridiculous. And I've had some people test me. And one thing, and I posted about this recently, one thing that people need to know, especially when dealing with me, if you test me, I'm going to fail. I'm always going to fail. I'm never going to pass your test. If you're testing me, I'm always going to fail because passing your test means being untrue to who I am, especially if I know you're testing me. And so I'm not going to pass, right? And people try it all the time. People will try to test you. People will say, I wanted to see what you would do if, well, how do you feel now? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you feel now? Instead of just being an adult and having a conversation and saying, these are some things I'm concerned with. These are some things that bother me or some things that I feel may be an issue. People test people and they push them and they, what is it called when the cops do it? The cops do the shit. They entrap. Entrap. Don't entrap me, boo. Cause listen, you're going to get your feelings hurt. You're going to get your feelings hurt every time. Every time you're going to get your feelings hurt. So, I don't expect fuckery. I don't expect to come into it often. It's so far behind me. So while I heard it and it's a fun thing to talk about, I don't have like, oh, let me tell you about all the shit that happens to me. I don't have that. That's not how I live my life.
Well, we're sort of winding down, both with some of the things I want to talk about and with respect for your time, because I know you got a busy day ahead of you. When you think about...
It's Sunday, Huey. It's Sunday. It's Super Bowl Sunday.
I know. That's right. If you could think about 2 to 3 things that you want the world to know about you, the work that you're doing, and why it's important for, human history. Like you said, you want to build this $1 billion brand or better. Mm-hmm. I know what you told me a few months ago, but what are the things that you would want to tell us right now?
I guess I missed you on that. I think I might have zoned out a little bit for a second.
That's okay.
I was listening. I was listening, but I was like, I'm not following.
That's okay. So when I asked you this question initially, you told me ingenuity and community wealth. Like when you think about your legacy that you want to leave behind, either implicitly if some library or some business school or some statue was left in your honor, or when you can think about the impact that you're just going to have on the whole of human history with the work that you do and the businesses that you help build. ingenuity and community wealth. Why did you tell me those things were important to you?
I mean, because one, innovation is how we move forward as a society, right? It's how we move forward as people. Think about it. You and I are video chatting on Skype. I'm in Mexico and you're up north in DC, right?
Exactly.
And we're video chatting. We have our microphones. You hear babies crying possibly in the background, some dogs, some birds. Those are the sounds of Colosio. Those are the sounds of Mexico. And so that's why ingenuity is important, because it brings us closer to people and places that we did not have access to before, right? It also creates all this stuff that we use to advance our lives and to advance our society and our community. And so if I can play a part in that, if I can literally bring millions of products to life, like support that, that is changing the world. It's changing how we do everything in this world. It's making life easier. It's making things simpler. It's making, it's creating jobs. It's, increasing the GDP, which may be important to some people and not to others. But there's just, it touches on so many different parts of our life and of our world. And so if I can be a part of that, a small part of it even, that's a big thing for me. I don't plan to be a small part. I plan to be a huge part of that. But even if I was just a small part, it's a big deal to know that what I'm doing is impacting lives individually and communities as a whole, and then the society overall. That's big. Now for generational wealth, we only have what we're given to us at birth. That's what we come into this world with, what we're given to, or what we have at birth. And that typically determines how hard our path is going to be going forward, whether or not you have to fight for it to no end, or whether or not you walk in with a few advantages and privileges. And I definitely know what it's like to fight for it. I know what it's like to have nothing. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I grew up in the projects, the Blodgett homes. You grew up in the hood, and not hood, but the ghetto, when they tear down your community and put the Federal Department of Law Enforcement there instead. That's how you know, that's how you know you grew up in the ghetto. When the state tears down your community, because it was a bad community, right? They tear down and put up state buildings. So, I grew up dodging bullets. I mean, literally dodging bullets. I grew up, and a lot of people that look like me grew up like that. And I don't want that for my daughter. My daughter has more passport stamps at 14 than any of my other family members, aside from me, obviously. But she's experienced life. She's lived on multiple continents. She's played with kids her age. She's played volleyball in Europe. Those experiences, those things that I've been able to give to her, helping her launch her clothing line. She'll be 15 when it launches. But helping her to launch her clothing line gives her a leg up, And so it's important to me that I strengthen this next generation. And not just my daughter, my niece and my nephew. Everybody wins. In my family, everybody wins. And so for me, that's important, because generational wealth isn't just those who come directly behind me. It's those who are growing up with me, my cousins, my aunts. How do I make it better for everyone in my family? How do I impact my community so other kids have opportunities that I didn't have, or that my daughter has, they didn't have, my daughter's friends? How do I invest in them? Because these are the people that she's around. So how do I spread this in a way that uplifts an entire community of people, and not just those who do share a DNA sequence with me? While they are first, they are not going to be the only. And so for me, it's all about leaving this place better than I had it when I got here. So that's why it's important. I gave you a lot just then. I gave you so much.
And it was beautiful. I loved every second of it. My final question for you, okay? And if I can...
You have kept it very PG. I'm so surprised at you. I totally was ready for some of these X-rated curveballs, but continue.
We'll have you back, and we'll get there. But just the natural flow of this conversation was just very motivating and inspiring. I was just taking this back seat and letting you flourish, because it was just beautiful.
I appreciate that.
No doubt. In my mind, you said a lot for, the entrepreneurial community, a lot for people like you and I from the ghetto, the ghetto's ghetto, and for the expat community. So we're here, the Book of Huey, chapter 2, verse 2. What would be your concluding thought, your kernel, your nugget of wisdom that you want on a high note with this episode?
So I what's funny about this is I ask people this in my podcast all the time, and I'm never ready or prepared for this question. You would think I'd be prepared for this question. So this is what I live by, right? Life is short, but it's also very, very long. It's very long. The days are long, the weeks are long, the months are long, the years are long. And while it flies by, we live each day in 24-hour increments, right? And what you do with that time determines just how long it feels versus, how short it feels, how hard it feels, how good it feels. And so for me, a long day might be sitting out at the beach. That's a good long day. Sitting on the rooftop pool, that's a good long day. Some of the choices I've made for my life is a good long day. And then there are choices I make that make those days like horribly long fucking days. I'm like, will this day ever end? Right? So it comes back to you. You get to determine how you live this very short yet very long life, and what you do with that time that's put before you, and how you serve others during that time. Serving others definitely makes the days sweeter. I think that more people should serve, and not just serve like you have to do something for free, but serve as in supporting other people, supporting one another, saying a nice word, just knowing that everyone is either coming out of something or going into something, and being empathetic and passionate about that. All of that ties into your life and whether or not it feels incredibly long or too short, right? So, I'm trying to wrap this up, and I'm so verbose. I always have like these long things. It's never like one statement. So
you just took me to church on the Sunday. I love it.
I'm just saying life is life. So that's how I live. Life is short, but it's also very long. And so you can either choose to spend those long ass years doing shit that you hate and being upset and angry and holding like resentment towards people, or you can get on with the business of life and enjoy every minute of it, wrapped up and tied in a bow. Right there.
I like it. That was beautiful. For me, I would just reiterate your or better principle, which I'm really going to explore a lot for myself, because what's interesting is it's no secret that I have no issues dating multiple people at once. And right now I am. And they all know anytime I initiate a conversation like this with a new person, we always talk about the fact that like, hey, I may or may not date other people, and right now I am, so you need to know that before we begin so that, you have full disclosure and you can make your own decisions. And one thing that...
I think that's a terrible idea, by the way, but continue.
Well, maybe that could be our next episode, but it works out in my favor quite beautifully. And, these women are my friends, some are my lovers, but the thing that we always talk about is the or better principle. And one thing that I always say to the women who decide to also date other people, because again, we're just dating. It's not like I have a girlfriend or anything like that, because I think that's very different. But if I go out with you on a Friday and I may go out with somebody on a Tuesday, I feel like you should have the respect of knowing that if I am going to be dating others, you should know that. But again, back to the main point.
I think people should walk into every situation just thinking that person they're talking to is not theirs and theirs alone. Like, there shouldn't have to be a conversation about whether or not you're dating multiple people. Like, no one should walk in thinking that this thing is just theirs and theirs alone. I think the conversation breeds insecurity, and it makes it a lot harder to get through the dating process. But that's just me.
That's going to be our part two. Now, in an ideal world, I would agree with you, but some people are a little different. We'll talk about
people need to grow up. I think people just need to grow up. That's not your responsibility to make them grow up. It's on them.
Tacia, I'm trying to close out. You got to.
I know. I'm sorry. It's 17 minutes, but still.
But the one thing that I do say is, if you're going to date somebody else or talk to someone else, they have to treat you as well as I do or better. And even with my close friends, like if someone wants to be your friend, they have to love you and support you and treat you just as well as I do or better. And if I don't make the cut, then you need to create some space. That is how you're going to level up, and you're going to always improve and everything you said earlier. So just to reiterate that, I really love this or better principle or mindset, and I'm going to actually explore it a lot more this year in season 2.
Explore it a lot more, but just make sure that you don't get too caught up and wrapped up into you're always looking for something better.
Exactly.
Like there is an expiration date, there sometimes that is the best thing for you. And a lot of people allow insecurities and doubts and fears, force them into a endless road of or better. And that's not the nature, behind that concept. But like you said, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Well, sweetheart, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your friendship and for supporting me and my show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. You're definitely going to be back at least 2 more times this season. Ooh, so you can follow the Book of Huey online on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, SoundCloud, Castbox, iTunes, now. Play music.
Damn, where are you not at?
I'm pending for Spotify, but I'm waiting. Any day now, we might get that.
iHeartRadio? You need to get iHeartRadio. I mean, shit, add it to the lineup.
I am. Stitcher, Blueberry, and there might be another one, but I'm trying to be everywhere. I have a Facebook fan page. I have a Facebook discussion group where we debate and talk about these same topics, but in a healthy and informative way. And remind us again, Donteacia, of your company and your podcast, which you didn't talk about earlier.
Yeah, I didn't. So my company, you just find me on DonteaciaSeymore.com. The product art is actually currently in beta, so it's exclusive access only to my clients currently. We probably will go live at the end of this year for public use, but right now it's in beta. So but Donteacia Seymore, you can find me there. It'll send you links to my Facebook group, send you links to all the free goodies I have on building products. And the podcast is the G-Spot podcast. The G is for growth. Get your mind out the gutter. So the G-Spot podcast, we really talk about business development strategies for people who have consumer product companies and consumer product ideas. And so we have a whole little relaunch coming up also this month, which I'm really excited about because we'll be bringing on some heavy hitters, some former and current sharks on Shark Tank and some other stuff we have going on, some reps from HSN, QVC. We're delving all the way into consumer products, big box retailers, new inventors, $1 billion inventors. We're bringing everybody on. So I'm excited.
Now, on thebookofhuey.com, do we have your permission to have people reach out to you or a network that you are aware of?
Absolutely. Come through. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/Donteacia, Instagram at Donteacia, Twitter at Donteacia. You guys catching the theme yet? It's one of the great things about having a mom who named me something so original. I'm at Donteacia on everything. LinkedIn, Donteacia Seymore. Check me out there. I have some really great videos coming up on LinkedIn, some lessons that I'll be posting on LinkedIn this week. So you can find me on all social media platforms. I'm out there. Join the Facebook group, Build, Fund, and Launch Your Awesome Invention. And just hit me up. I'm excited. I'm excited to get to know you. Get to know you all.
And make some money.
Make the money. That's how I live my life.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, you find all of this information in Donteacia's bio, her wonderful headshot, and more information about her company, her network on thebookofhuey.com. I love you all. Have a great week, everybody.
On behalf of the Book of Huey podcast, thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next week. This is your announcer, Rebecca Lee, signing off. And remember, folks, life is short, but it's also very, very long. We live each day in 24-hour increments, and you get to determine how you live this very short yet really long life. You have the power to determine and decide how long, how short, how easy, and how hard it will be, and how good it feels. Stay encouraged, boo.